We don't know that.
Call to order the meeting of the City Council of the City of Fort Myers. It is Monday, May the 5th at 4:30 p.m. and this is the regular meeting of the council. And if I could get someone to close the door in the rear, and then I would ask you to please stand and join us for the opening prayer, and then after the opening prayer, the Pledge of Allegiance. And I'd like to call on Councilman Leonardo to lead us in our opening prayer. I think it's most appropriate for those of you, if you had an opportunity at the community prayer breakfast last week, to hear from Colonel Oliver North, and to just such a great inspirational talk that he gave to us. And then I learned that our Councilman Leonardo was in the United States Marine Corps.
Oh, Navy?
Navy, okay, Navy. Okay, see, I got it halfway right. So I thought it most appropriate, and he graciously agreed to open and lead us with a prayer. Mr. Councilman.
Let us pray with our hearts reaching out to God, our Father in heaven, for our nation, our state, and our beautiful city, for our elected officials who serve our citizens, that our decisions may be wise and made in good conscience, for the men and women in our armed forces, especially those in harm's way, and for their families. Lastly, let us use the words of an old hymn to pray for peace in our world that is so much in need of it. This is my song, O God of all the nations, the song of peace for lands far and mine. This is my home, the country where my heart is. Here are my hopes, my dreams, my holy shrine. But other hearts and other lands are beating with hopes and dreams as true and high as mine. My country's skies are bluer than the ocean, and sunlight beams on clover leaf and pine. But other lands have sunlight too, and clover, and skies are everywhere as blue as mine. Oh, hear my song, thou God of all the nations, a song of peace for their land and mine. Amen.
Amen. Please join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Please be seated. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Mayor Humphrey.
Present.
Councilman Wright.
Present.
Councilman Streets.
Here.
Councilman Sims.
Present.
Councilman Flanders.
Here.
Councilman Henderson.
Here.
Councilman Leonardo.
Present.
City Manager Mitchell.
Here.
Clerk Adams. Attorney Elliott.
Present.
Okay. Next, we'll move into proclamations and special presentations. Is Mr. Huntley here? Would you please come forward? First, it's indeed my pleasure again this year to read the proclamation declaring the month of May as Better Hearing and Speech Month. So, and then to present it to you, and of course thank you and your organization for all that you do to try to ensure that the test and that we are aware of our needs to be able to hear and to have both better hearing and better speech. In fact, with that, it couldn't be more appropriate when I have to try to pronounce some of these words. So bear with me, but that it is, and as I said, my pleasure to present a proclamation. Whereas audiologists and speech-language pathologists in the city of Fort Myers observe and celebrate Better Hearing and Speech Month each year during the month of May. And whereas the city of Fort Myers recognizes and values the efforts of all who work to eliminate or minimize the isolating effects of communication disorders, which affect 1 in every 10 families. And whereas the citizens of Fort Myers who overcome their communication disabilities through the service of dedicated audiologists and speech-language pathologists should be recognized. And whereas audiology and speech-language pathology services throughout our nation help to enable and empower individuals with communication disorders to lead independent, productive, and fulfilling lives. And whereas the city of Fort Myers is honored and proud to have numerous audiologists and speech-language pathologists offering quality education and health care services to its citizens. Now, therefore, I, Jim Humphrey, by virtue of the authority vested in me as the mayor of the city of Fort Myers, Florida, do hereby proclaim the month of May 2008 as Better Hearing and Speech Month in Fort Myers, and encourage all citizens to recognize the achievements and that audiologists and speech pathologists have in improving the quality of life for people with communication disorders. In witness whereof I have hereunto set my hand in the great seal of the city of Fort Myers, Florida, on this 5th day of May in the year 2008. So it's indeed my pleasure, and I ask everyone here to let's join in a round of applause for your organization. It's my pleasure to present you with the proclamation, and I know the council members will probably want to say hello to you, and then if you'd like to say a few words too.
Thank everybody for letting me come back in. Bring awareness to one of our nation's leading handicapping disabilities that affects 1 out of every 10 people. As President Gerald Ford said, communication is the key to life. There's been great strides in hearing aids. Everything is digital now. It's wonderful. If people in the past have tried hearing aids unsuccessfully, please get them to try again. The technology's never been better. I thank you once again for providing me the opportunity to present this.
Well, we appreciate you being here and reminding us of our needs and the importance of this matter.
Thank you again.
Okay, thank you. Next is Lee Shields, President. Oh, come right up, Lee. And we go from hearing and speech to being old and elderly adults. So, and Vern Davis, our First Lady of City of Fort Myers, is here. I didn't present this at this time just because you're here or anything like that. In fact, we do want to recognize, though, the May is Older Americans Month. And whereas the city of Fort Myers is a community where many citizens aged 60 or older make their home, to include our city manager. He's just now reached that age. It's going to be hard for me to get through this in a serious manner. Whereas, especially when I think about how many of us qualify sitting on this council. Now, there's a few that do not, but there's a few of us that qualify as the older adults. And whereas older adults in our city and throughout the United States are a growing population with evolving needs, and whereas older adults are valuable members of our society who are rich with experience and deserving of our respect, and whereas the number of baby boomers reaching traditional retirement age continues to increase, a fact that spotlights the need for increased attention to the needs of older adults, and whereas our older citizens of today and tomorrow promise to be among the most active and engaged citizens in our nation's history. And whereas it is the responsibility of all U.S. communities to prepare for the changing older adult population by modernizing our systems of care, providing alternative forms of transportation, as well as more opportunities for our older adults. And whereas our quality of life can be greatly enhanced when supportive communities assist their older adults in obtaining better access to health and long-term care options. Now therefore, I, Jim Humphrey, by the virtue of the authority vested in me as Mayor of the City of Fort Myers, Florida, do hereby proclaim May 2008 as Older Americans Month in Fort Myers, Florida, and urge all citizens to take the time in May to honor our older adults and the professionals, family members, and citizens who take care of them. I urge all citizens in our community to work collaboratively to strengthen the services Fort Myers provides to its older adults in ways that recognize the changing nature of their needs and to provide them with more opportunities to make informed choices about their lives. Our efforts can improve the lives of our older citizens and help pave the way for future generations. So I do also express our appreciation, as I understand you're the Executive Director for the Area Agency on Aging. So let's give her a round of applause. I'd like to present you this proclamation, and we do. You and your staff accomplishes so much in our community to improve the quality of life of our older adults, and we greatly appreciate that. So come forward. Thank you, and I know each council member would like to also say something too.
Thanks for having me. It's my goddamn thing.
That's right. And I'm so pleased. My wife Nancy's here, and I didn't say a word about her. I did not say one thing. Better.
Mr. Mayor, it's not a sin to get older.
No,
It's a great thing.
That's right.
Mr. Mayor, esteemed council members and your staff, I so appreciate this proclamation. This is thanks from our board of directors, our advisory council, as well as our staff. And as you know, in 2020, the baby boomers will become 60 years old, and they're talking nationally, 1 in 6 will be over the age of 60. Here, we're 1 in 3. So you all will be able to provide expertise to the rest of the nation on how to age gracefully. You'll be able to tell them how you've been able to do it in your community and make it easier for people to stay in their own homes and age with independence and dignity. So thank you very much.
Well, that's a good example of Thank you very much. Okay. All right. Before we go to the next proposal, I know that actually, if we can, I'll want to take the Langford Kingston, the Community Club, and then right after that, the Uncommon Friends, but we should go through the public input to see if there's any member of the public that desires to address the council in regards to both the subparagraph C as well as agenda item number 30. So we'll first ask and see if we have any public input. This is a time for public input on non-public hearing agenda items. And we request that you limit your discussion with the council to no more than 4 minutes. And we also ask that it be for the non-public hearing items. The public hearings are items number 25 and 26. But other than that, if it's a consent agenda, if it's council members, the city manager's agenda, permission to advertise, all the other items, this is a time for you to address the council. Let me announce that items number 8, 22, and 28A is now for. Now I know some of you are here to speak about 28, which is something.
Hi, my name is Raymond Olin. Can you guys hear me? All right. I'd like to thank everybody for having me here and the group. First of all, I know there's going to be a lot of argument, conversation going both ways regarding this ordinance. But I want to emphasize to everyone that the group and our industry doesn't promote underage consumption of alcoholic beverages. In fact, one of the things that we've been working on discussing is ways that we can alleviate it and prevent it. The thing about a lot of the businesses downtown in the city limits is that many of us have what they call a 4COP license. And a 4COP license is extremely expensive to obtain. You're under scrutiny of the ABT, and you have to comply with all the ABT regulations and guidelines. And there's ABT enforcement out there that makes sure that you comply. One of the arguments that we have in trying to bring people back into the downtown area is that a lot of the younger adults have been going to a lot of the restaurants that have what they call a 4951 license, which is like a $200 license that can be attained very easily. And so their risk of violating the law with this license is minimal as far as the repercussions and the fines and the penalties that they're going to endure. If we lose our license, you're talking about a $300,000 license, and if they just take it away from you, so immediately you lose that investment and then you lose your business. So nobody with that type of license is going to tolerate any underage drinking in their establishment. The point of trying to change the ordinance is to try to get people to come back downtown, people that are frequenting the other establishments or restaurants like Bar Louie. I'm not sure if they have a 4COP or not, but there's places that are just restaurants that have a beer and wine license, and they also have a food and beverage license. But they don't have security, they don't have enforcement, they're not taking the precautions that we take with their patrons. So our risk is much greater, and I think enforcement and controlled environment downtown is a much better place for these young adults to be, to make sure that they're not consuming alcoholic beverages. The other thing I wanted to say is that I opened Indigo Room in November of '95, and the one thing about downtown that was always interesting to me was the wide variety of people, the different age groups, the different income brackets, and different races of people that came downtown. And that's all but disappeared over the past few years. We're getting more and more of a worse element downtown as we try to scrape the bottom of the barrel and try to compete on market with the rest of the county who don't have the same restrictions. So we're watching the cultural diversity of downtown sort of fade in front of us as people start to go to all these other places out of the city limits, and we just want to try to get those people back in the downtown area. I've had to close my kitchen. There's been a lot of things going on with downtown. We've lost a lot of business. And the group is taking a lot of precautions and have a lot of ideas about how we can remedy, making sure that downtown is safer. We've got plans, we've got ideas, and we're all working together, and we want to cooperate with the city and work together as a group.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Let me make an announcement before I call on the next person. Is if you have a cell phone, please cut it off, because it affects the sound, and so not even on silence. If you could please cut it off, and if you have to make a call, then go outside to do so. Thank you. Next is Cindy Kiesel regarding agenda item number 27. Okay. Next is Matt. It looks like Kingham. I'm sorry if I mispronounced it. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. My name is Matt Kinghorn. I work at Neil and Amcha downtown Fort Myers. Kinghorn.
Kinghorn.
That's
Okay,
okay.
I'm sorry.
I have terrible handwriting. I also teach bartending at the National Bartending School in Casino Games, which is also located in Fort Myers. Basically, I've seen this, this kind of decline from 2 points of view here, and we do understand that there are concerns with repealing this ordinance, this under 21 ordinance. But we're here to assure you that what we're doing, we will do everything in our power to kind of eliminate these issues that we're worried about. My understanding is correct. The main concern is obviously underage drinking. And that's what I'm here today to kind of talk about the steps that we are taking and the steps that we are willing to take to alleviate these problems and hopefully put those concerns to rest. A lot of the establishments in the area have pulled together to form sort of an association, which we're calling the Arts and Entertainment Proprietors Alliance. And as an association, we're able to make certain equipment and certain technology, certain education mandatory within the other businesses in our association. And here are just a few of the things that we have talked about, either that we already are putting in place or we will put in place, right after this, if this ordinance does get repealed. One of the things is I've personally spoken with Sabrina Maxwell, who is one of the captains with the ABT, and we're willing to work side by side closely with them to ensure our ongoing education and our full compliance with liquor liability laws. In addition, we've talked about making it mandatory that all employees who deal with the serving of alcohol or tobacco in the area must obtain a responsible vendor certification to be employed in the area. And what that means is it gives everybody the education of being able to spot underage drinking, over serving, and having the confidence to intervene when necessary. So that alone will help out tremendously. Other things that we've talked about is possibly installing ID scanners at a lot of the liquor license establishments, which can spot fake and altered IDs. And we can also actually group these scanners together to form a network, sort of like a neighborhood watch, and we can send information from scanner to scanner. So if there is an individual who is causing a disturbance or breaking the laws, we can actually send that information to all the other establishments to deny access as a unified group, deny access to not just one establishment, but all the establishments in this association. The other thing, as an association, we've also talked about meeting frequently, at least monthly, maybe twice a month, to discuss options to again further our education and our compliance with all these rules. And we hope to have a member from ABT, which they're willing to do at these meetings to kind of to again ensure our ongoing education. And we're not the enemy here, and we will do whatever it takes to prevent underage drinking in our establishments.
Thank you. Next is Mr. Keith. It looks like Stingle of Ricochets. For agenda item number 27.
Yes, my name's Keith Stengel, and I'm with Ricochet, located at 3853 Cleveland Avenue. Now, I'm here to talk about the ordinance as it pertains to the entertainment. When we started Ricochet, we took a large club so we could bring large concerts from Keith Urban, Gretchen Wilson, Kenny Chesney. I've had lots of stars. But in the past, Ricochet has had to falter from that because I cannot get these artists to come to Fort Myers because everyone in this room bought more records from 12 to 21 than they have the rest of their lives. And the record labels know this. So Ricochet has gone from primarily a country venue to taking whatever concerts we can get. Lately, it's mainly been hip-hop. We just had a problem Saturday night, which I'm sure all of you are aware. This happened after we had closed in the parking lot. Ricochet normally never did under 21 except for concerts. In fact, I got 21 citations for one concert because we'd already advertised under 21 when this first came into effect. People come in they're allowed in with their parents. Sometimes the parents leave. And it just puts us in a spot where we're forced to take what we can get. And sometimes that's not what we want. For the hip-hop concerts, Ricochet never does under 21. There is no doubt that to people that come down here, to the young, we feel like the city of Fort Myers is against the young. The record labels look at it as such. You know, we want people to frequent our area, but yet we limit them in such a way that they just don't know. I mean, when we do concerts, we try hard to police. I've been in business 28 years. We have never had any arrests for serving underage or anything else right here in Fort Myers. So this has a major detriment to us. I don't want to continue having to do things that typically, it is terrible that hip-hop is the #1 music, and sometimes it does come with its problems. I would like to get more of the rock concerts, but again, we have to jump through hoops to get an under 21 permit. I don't know if anybody else has ever done this besides me. It has a cost of about $1,000. I have to notify the city within 21 days. Sometimes I don't have that many days. The bands call and says, hey, in 2 weeks we're going to be coming through. I have actually had bands turned down. I'll pitch an offer of $15,000. They get an offer of $12,000 in Lauderdale. They go to Lauderdale because it's 18 and up. You know, we've tried numerous things to get the city to understand and to allow us to do these things. When we have a 21-year-old and his 20-year-old wife, he can't come in because she is not his parent or he is not her parent. This is kind of crazy, and it puts us in a position that, you know, we feel for them. At any rate, I would like to see it change. Crowds draw crowds. Needless to say, the more people that come into Fort Myers benefits every restaurant and nightclub. And I've watched, because I've lived here since '72 and I grew up in Punta Gorda, I've watched the downtowns just go from being somewhat bustling. I used to even have a business down here years ago, to just drop off to about nothing. More empty stores than anything. So that's pretty much all I have to say, but I thank you very much.
Thank you. Jeff Tellen, agenda item number 27.
Hello, I'm Jeff Twain. This is hard for me to do this, so it must be very important for me to be up here. But I'm with Beasley Radio, and I moved to this town a little over 20 years ago. And I remember the events and promotions that went on here and very successful things that we have done here that have just all gone to the wayside, and I've seen the deterioration. When I first moved here, I ran New Life Fitness World just right down the street. Remember when Peter's La Cuisine was the only place downtown. I watched it grow and expand to a very nice entertainment district area, and then watched the last couple of years the decline, and the events and the things that have just been taken away. You know, I come from Iowa. When I turned 18, that was legal drinking age, and I understand why it is the way it is now, and that's not why we're here. You know, it's about controlling what goes downtown, hopefully creating more jobs and more events. I've watched how it's hurt the financial aspect of it, the people that have lost their jobs, who worked in the industries that affect other things. I actually have something here that I've been told I'm allowed to give to you. It's an expense inventory summary from one of the bars that I've worked with for 10 years in downtown, and the amount of money that he has spent is over $400,000 just with numerous different types of vendor situations that help create jobs. So, you know, the things that we've seen with Gulf Coast Town Center and the events that we have done down there, they actually just won a marketing award within their company across the nation because we were able to do things for them that we're not able to do for downtown. And again, I think when you can allow children 18 and up into an environment and move them and introduce them and acclimate them slowly into an environment to where they can learn the things that are out there, the real world, I think that is a better way than, you know, controlling and restricting until all of a sudden they're 21 and you throw them out there and they have no idea what it's all about. So if we can move them slowly in the right direction and help them make choices and not restrict them from so many things in this area that they could do, I think it's something I hope you consider. I got engaged at Harold's downtown 2 years ago. A very nice man, and next month he's closing the doors. Great restaurant, hope you guys have been there before, but that's the kind of direction that we're going in downtown. And it's a sad state of affairs, and I hope we can turn it around and we can find answers and solutions to the problem that we're at. money today is Cinco de Mayo, and a lady from your council was with us last Thursday and was wondering if this would be a bad day for us to come because we should be busy. I actually 10 years ago did some great promotions for Cinco de Mayo when there was a Mexican bar downtown. But what, 8,000-9,000 people downtown, gave them entertainment, used that downtown as an entertainment district, and we got a lot of people here that aren't going to be busy tonight, maybe have one person working. So again, it's just the direction we're going. If we can change that and find solutions to these answers, that would be great.
Thank you.
That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Ryan Cherry, also agenda item number 27.
Hey everybody, I'd like to thank you all for coming out. My name is Ryan Sherry with the Venue Night Club. The main reason for my speech today is to cover a topic that's affected my life at a very early age. A true story of a young man who was going to be the first in his family to graduate college by the name of Mark Sterner. Mark is now the first in his family to go to prison. After drinking and driving, he killed his 3 best friends, which brings me to the topic at hand. The question today is, if we allow 18 to 20-year-olds downtown and double the capacity of the restaurants and the bars, will this increase or decrease the number of people who drink and drive? Here are my thoughts. Downtown Fort Myers needs more cabs. The problem is there's not enough foot traffic for companies to sit downtown and wait for patrons to leave the bars and clubs. Multiple times, I've seen people trying to do the right thing and call cabs because they know they are not in the right shape to drive. But when cab companies say it's going to be 45 minutes to an hour wait, not too many people are willing to sit out in the streets and wait till 3 a.m. This is something Mark and his friends learned the hard way in 1994, and they're paying for it right now. Was death the right price to pay? Having adults downtown from the ages of 18 to 20 puts hundreds of designated drivers available, which also creates the amount of foot traffic that will encourage cab companies to wait downtown for when the bars or restaurants empty out into the streets. Being a former University of Florida graduate and a member of Florida's most prestigious leadership group, Florida Blue Key, and a former student body president candidate, I learned a lot about steps student government takes in funding certain university-sponsored events. FGCU needs to have a safe ride system to and from campus to downtown Fort Myers, mimicking the service that the University of Florida has known as the Later Gator. On Thursdays through Sunday nights in Gainesville, the Later Gator takes students from their dorms to downtown to provide safe transportation. I would be really excited to have the opportunity to bring in Mark Sterner to speak to the entire FGCU campus and have him tell his story, and at the end of the speech, be able to announce to the student body that they will now be welcome downtown and that they will have a safe transportation provided to them. This would be a big step for the university, considering they had multiple DUIs last year and deaths on campus to alcohol-related accidents. Being born and raised in Fort Myers, I really take it personally when I talk to people who go to Florida Gulf Coast who are from other parts of the state or country, and they have no idea or awareness about the businesses downtown and the history of downtown Fort Myers. They will talk about going to dinner at various corporate places, Ale House, P.F. Chang's, Bar Louie, and Gulf Coast Town Center. They do not know anything about delicious things, the Veranda, Patio 33, Morgan House, French Connection, Harold's, and anybody else I left out, I apologize. I spoke to a young couple the other day who went to school at FGCU from Philadelphia. And I was telling them that Ernest Grant had his Big Brothers Big Sisters charity event after party at my club last week. And the response was, "You mean the Tampa Bay Buccaneers starting running back?" And my immediate response was, "Yeah, but even bigger. He was the Grand Marshal of the Fort Myers Edison Pageant Light Parade." They looked at me and said, "What parade?" I said, "The Edison Parade." He said, "Edison?" ? Edison who? Sarcastically, I said, "Thomas Edison." They go, "He lived in Fort Myers?" I was speechless. Michael Jordan once said, "Leaders always want the ball when the game is on the line." This room has a group of leaders who are willing to take action. Remember, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. This is a shot as a community we must take together for the development and the growth of the city of Fort Myers. I thank you all for your time. I just hope in looking back on this day, 10 years from now, we will not just remember May the 5th, 2008, as Cinco de Mayo as a Mexican national holiday, but as a day that everybody in this room contributed, made a difference, and was responsible for making a livable city in Fort Myers.
Thank you.
Thank you.